Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah HaKodash, double honors unto the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well, and salutations to you, sincere, hopeful, elect Akim, pushing the word of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, in spirit and in truth. All right, shalom to the 144,000. Coming back with another lesson, and as you see here, this is from Reuters, which reads thousands of British farmers protest against tractor tax on inheritance. All right. So, as we'll get into, you have or let me just read some of this summary. It says, farm inheritance tax rules announced in labor budget. Protesters threaten to disrupt food supplies. Government says tax revenue will fund public services. So, one thing that you find out is that this Labor Party, when they got elected in June, but they promised that they wouldn't do anything of this sort. And as soon as they got in office, they literally did the opposite of what they said they were going to do, which, you know, you got to be dumb to believe politicians, and that's something that when you come into the truth, the apostles and elders through the Spirit have taught us that, which, in the world, if you got some kind of sense, you realize that these politicians never uphold anything that they promise the public. And they're saying that this tax is gonna, help aid government, public services and whatnot, which we know that's all lies, man. Okay, but this is extremely unrighteous. All right, when you get into reading this article, all right, so get into it. It says London, November 19th, which was, I believe, yesterday. It says thousands of farmers. Well, today is the 19th. It says, or no, yesterday was the 19th. So like it says thousands of farmers protested at Britain's Parliament on Tuesdays. Some driving tractors through central London to demand the scrapping of an inheritance tax that they say will destroy family farms and threaten food production. Okay, so food production for for the UK could be disrupted with this. All right, it says the measure, dubbed, excuse me, the tractor tax by critics and announced in the new government's budget last month as it sought to raise funds, has drawn an angry backlash from farmers who say the ruling Labour Party does not understand rural communities. The protesters held placards stating "No farmers, no food, no future." The Strammer the farmer hammer, in reference to Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Police estimated about 10,000 protesters took part. Farmer Emma Robinson, 44, said she was absolutely livid and would take part in measures to disrupt food supplies if the government did not back down. Okay, so you got farmers out there saying that if they continue on with this food tax, that they're gonna literally disrupt food supplies, man. you know, um, which that could lead to a famine. All right, and this is happening over in the UK. All right, so how much greater of a devastation is it going to be? If food supplies is disrupted here in America, all right, which you just had the E. coli outbreak with carrots, baby carrots, where one person died. So from food being contaminated to the government just, I'm talking about here in America, to the government just destroying food like we're seeing during COVID. You had you know a whole bunch of crops just being destroyed, left out to just rot in the sun. You know, and all these things are happening as part of prophecy. Um, to bring about famine. Okay. It says Robinson said her farm in northwest England had been in her family for 500 years and she was going to pass it down to her children. It's being taken out of my hands by someone that's been in parliament for literally days, she said. So literally they just got elected in June or July, and already they're trying to, set up a tax that's going to pretty much bankrupt these farmers to the point that, they're going to have to sell their farms. All right. It says the passing of farms down through generations was tax free, but under the policy set out by Finance Minister Rachel Reeves from 2026, 20% tax would be paid on the value of the farm above £1 million. So if your farm is worth £1 million, starting in 2026, every year you're going to have to pay a 20% tax. All right, which that's completely unrighteous, man. All right, so let's get this Isaiah 10:1. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Okay, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. All right, so let me read this in the NLT. It says, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. All right, so all around the globe, you got Edomites and heathens that are knowingly partaking in implementing unjust laws, unfair laws that screw people over. Okay, there's going to be a recompense for that, man. Okay, it says they deprive the poor of justice and they deny the rights of the needy among my people. They prey on widows and take advantage of orphans. All right, and this is like I said, unrighteous to tax people's farms, man. Okay, it says existing personal allowances which a married couple can combine takes the threshold for a farm and associated property up to £3 million. Farmers say that while their land and machinery has high value, the farms themselves have low profit margins, meaning their children will have to sell land to cover the tax bill. All right, so these farmers got some type of sense to where they're foreseeing the future of this thing. All right, yeah, we got these expensive tractors and farm equipment, but as far as what profit we generate from the actual crops themselves doesn't compare. So these politicians implementing this law is basing it upon the land. They're basing a tax on the land, the acres, what type of equipment you got, what's that value, which that could easily total $1 million, but you're taxing the farm on, pretty much everything but what actually comes from the farm, what all that equipment is used to do as far as producing and tilling and reaping, fruits and vegetables. Okay, so we see that Esau is completely unrighteous, man. All right, it says Jeremy Clarkson, a former Top Gear presenter who owns a farm, was among those demonstrating and said his message for government was, please back down. The government has said the reforms would only target the most valuable farmers while helping fund public services that farming communities rely on. And there's more. Or let me read this paragraph right here. Let me I'm trying to highlight it. This paragraph here. All right. It says the government said the tax change would affect about 500 farms a year, based on a number of inherited farms in 2021 through 22, with the tax rate payable. Look at this. With the tax rate payable in installments over 10 years, but farmers say the numbers affected will be much higher. All right. Uh, yeah, just completely unrighteous, man. You know, it's a bunch of farms that's gonna be, the food, pretty much the food supply over in the UK is gonna be severely affected by this. All right, and this is gonna lead to more protests, more riots. All right, uproars of the people, because that's the season we're in. We're in that season. Okay. Um, Proverbs 29:1. Let me see. Verse 2. Excuse me. It says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear the rule, the people mourn." All right, and this is a oldie but goodie, and this scripture it's in perfect it's in season right now, which all the scriptures are in season. But what I mean by that is, the closer we get to the day of the Lord, the worse governance Esau is gonna uh, exemplify. All right, you're gonna have everybody, even Edomites themselves, pissed off at the way Esau is governing, countries, because it's completely ass backwards, and it's causing the people to mourn, man. It's causing people to, get up in tractors and take over, downtown. As it says here, protesters drive tractors through Westminster during a farmers' community demonstration against the Labour government's new agricultural policy, which includes a budget measure expected to blah blah blah. With unrighteous Edomites in power, this is what you have, man. You have the people mourning. All right, and Yahweh Shai is coming to, correct all that. All right. Psalm 104:14, it says, "He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle, and herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth." All right, and really, everybody's supposed to have a farm, supposed to have land, supposed to have a garden, supposed to have cattle. Okay, every man should have his a family, and have their own land and have their own cattle and be self-sustaining. Okay, now you always have, a marketplace where, certain things are sold, barter system, trading, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you should have land and a garden and vegetation and crops and fruit trees, things of that nature. All right, but under Esau's uh hegemony, he's trying to snatch that away, man. Okay, and he's using unrighteous decrees to do so. Okay, but these things being the herb, all right, the grass for the cattle, the herb for the service of man, food that is brought out of the earth, that's not supposed to be um pretty much centralized to the government. Okay, now there's only sometimes that should be so in the case of uh, a drought, like in the famine, as we see in the scriptures, dealing with our forefather Joseph. For the you know continuance of Egypt. You had the Egyptians and bringing and even other nations bringing everything to Joseph. Okay. But for the most part, nations, not nations, excuse me, families and people are supposed to have their own land, have gardens, have trees, things of that nature. But that's somewhat foreign uh, in this day and time. All right. Verse 15, it says, and wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart. The trees of the Lord are full of sap, the cedars of Lebanon which he hath planted. All right. So oil, bread, wine, herb, grass, all that comes from the earth, and is put here for man. But Esau, being the devil, is trying to seize and take control of all that. All right. So Rock 39 and 26, it says the principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the bowl and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinner they are turned into evil. All right. And by the actions that UK government is taking, you can see how, the things that come from farms, uh, they're using that as evil. All right. Imposing a 20% inheritance tax on these farms that are being passed down to people's children, you know, completely unrighteous, man. All right. So we see that Esau is trying to put a clamp on food. All right. Which that's how he wants to take control and pretty much have everybody eating Soylent Green, you know. But yeah, this is going to lead to uproars of the people. All right, and ultimately, as the scripture says, it's going to be a famine. All right, and this is one of the indicators of such. All right, so Abaratazah, this was edifying. Till next time, Shalom.